And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Happy to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And of course, every Tuesday we call it Bearcat Time. And that is the same every week. Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, we bring you the Bearcats of Binghamton University. And I am here with a very special conversation with Jess Bump, the head coach of the Binghamton softball program, who just decided to, go on and win the America East and then go to the NCAAs, heading to the Oregon side of things, the West Coast. And I am super excited and very pumped for this conversation with Bump. I had to make something rhyme, Jess. I couldn't help myself. So with that being said, very happy to have you here on the broadcast in this Bearcat Breakroom in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Jess, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing very well. So, the time period as we're here on a Tuesday morning, you guys have had somewhat of a whirlwind here, playing Mother's Day weekend, winning the America East, celebrating Mother's Day with that, and then finding out very quickly after where you were going to be heading in the NCAAs. Bring me into the last couple days here.
Yeah, so it's kind of been a crazy week. We played our opening round game on Thursday against Bryant, which was a crazy game. Extra inning walk-off home run, and then we were rained out on Friday, so we kind of sat around all day on Friday, and then had our game against UMBC Saturday with an 8 a.m. start yesterday for a championship. So we got up bright and early yesterday morning, started warm-ups at 6 a.m., and then obviously played a great game in front of a great crowd yesterday. So just super surreal. I think we kind of knew from the beginning of the season that this was going to be a special team. So going into the weekend, I think the first game is always the hardest, especially being the one seed, playing at home, pressing a little bit. We kind of knew we were going to get everyone's best game this weekend because everyone wanted to beat us, and everyone played a great game against us, and we had to grind out some wins both Thursday and Saturday. And then I think yesterday the girls didn't feel any pressure. I know I wasn't stressed at all. So they kind of just played free, and it was just super fun to watch them just have fun with each other and win it together with a really great community behind us.
At other times, the closer you get to a championship, the more stress you have, the more you feel on your shoulders, the more weight is there, the more you kind of might psych yourself out and not play your game. You said the closer they got to a championship and getting to championship Sunday, they were more free, they were more comfortable, they were having more fun. How did your team find a way to take the pressure off when other teams are feeling the pressure the most?
Yeah, I think I've been a part of, the America East for a while, and our conference is really, really competitive. And we knew on Thursday, even though we had beat Bryant 3 times a few weeks earlier, in the back of my mind, it's really hard to beat a team 3, 4, 5 times. So I think I was a little bit more stressed, and our staff was a little bit more stressed just with that in the back of our head. But, I think once we got to yesterday, we knew that Bryant was going to have to beat us twice. And we have been playing some really good softball this week, even though they were close games. Obviously, Brianna Roberts had an unbelievable weekend, pitched in all 3 games. And our offense was, I wouldn't say struggling, but we were just struggling to kind of get some momentum and put a lot of things together, which wasn't like how our whole season went. So once we got to yesterday and the girls came out to warm ups at 6 a.m., they were rip roaring and ready to go nice and early. We had a great warm up and we scored in the first inning. And kind of once we did that and we got some momentum, I think they just felt really good that we were going to come out on top.
Well, and what I love about this too is that we talk about extending the year. And around Mother's Day, right, we're talking about graduation. Because you're a spring sport and you're now going into the postseason, you're making Binghamton last longer. You're putting the B in more places, and now you're putting it coast to coast. What does that mean to you to be the flag bearer right now and to be representing Binghamton University beyond Mother's Day, beyond graduation as we keep this season going?
Yeah, it feels great. I think our 3 seniors would much rather be playing softball than going to graduation. I think that's kind of the feeling every year. But I think we had a great celebration yesterday, but they're actually practicing right now. We're locking back in. Our season's not over, and we know we still have some tough games ahead, obviously going out to Eugene. So just kind of enjoying the moment, but also kind of locking back in and just knowing that, we had a tough schedule early. We played some tight games against some top 10 teams. So I think we know that we can go out there and play some good softball and at least compete in a good way and play some good games.
Yeah, and being a Northeast team, there's this moniker, right, when it comes to softball, when it comes to baseball, there's this unfair kind of thing that gets put on to schools in the Northeast, right? You don't have the good weather, you got to play on the road and this and that, and it's not a place for baseball, it's not a place for softball. What does it mean to you to not only represent Binghamton, but to represent the America East and represent Northeast softball, to be playing on the West Coast or wherever you're playing in the postseason, to have the opportunity to be a representation of the Northeast and to remind people we have student athletes here and we play some really good games and we challenge ourselves. And just because of our region and our weather that we can't control does not take away from the fact that we all play the same game.
For sure. And I think the one cool thing yesterday, when we were watching the selection show, our RPI is the best it's ever been. We're kind of in the mid 70s right now. Usually at the end of the season, we're kind of above 100, but we played a tough schedule early, which made our RPI better, even though we lost those games. And then, we won. And winning games at the end of the day is really important. So I really didn't think we were going to be a 3 seed. But I think that just kind of shows that the selection committee really looked at our resume and put us where they thought, we were going to be competitive. So I think the girls were excited about that. And I think they finally felt like their hard work paid off. But there's a lot of great Northeast softball teams. Both UConn and Marist also got a 3 seed, which I think just goes to your point of what you're saying is there's great softball in the Northeast and they're putting us in regions where we can make some noise.
Yeah, the respect, like you said, across the board to be 3 seeds and to have 3 Northeast schools there in UConn, Marist, and yourself at Binghamton. When we look at your season and how you challenge yourself outside of the America East this season, I know you started off in the Stetson tournament, and so that's over in DeLand, Florida. So University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, Stetson, FDU as well. We look at what you did there. Started out with a couple losses, ended with 3 victories. And then we look at the Florida tournament in Gainesville, where you faced off against BC, Providence, at the time number 2 ranked in the country, University of Florida, number 12 ranked Duke you went up against as well. And then from there, we had the Madera Beach, Florida opportunity where it was Make It Happen games, Butler, Bellarmine, as well as Bethune-Cookman that you went up against there. And then the James Madison Invitational in Harrisburg, Virginia, against the likes of Fordham, James Madison, Radford. And then we started after Mercer, seeing you get into the America East. What did you take away from those stops in Florida, those 3 stops in Florida, and then ultimately that stop in Virginia, and then a little bit in Georgia before you came home? We know that being in the Northeast, you're going to start off in the South. What did you take away? Like you said, we lost some of those games, but we were willing to play these teams, and our RPI was the best it's ever been at the end of the season. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on how playing all of those squads and playing them away from home, what that does to help you now that you're going to be playing away from home in the NCAA.
So we make our schedule about a year in advance. So, when we were in the middle of last year, kind of forward thinking into this year's season, we knew that we were gonna, be pretty competitive. We had the pitching. We knew our offense was gonna be a little bit more consistent. So we wanted to make sure we scheduled a little bit tougher just because we kind of saw us getting to this point. I think the biggest thing when you go to regionals is you're playing in some pretty big stadiums with a big atmosphere. It's loud.
Yeah.
All the home fans are cheering against you. So I think we just wanted to put our girls in an atmosphere like that early, so they could kind of just get out like the shocking factor and the nerves. So when we were in Stetson, the first games of the season are always tough. It's our first time out on dirt. We're playing Southern teams that have been out there for a few weeks at this point already. So, both Stetson, Chattanooga, they were both in the mid-major top 25 at some point throughout the season. So playing close games with them and getting a win against Chattanooga was some pretty good confidence, going into Gainesville.
Yeah.
And as you look through our whole like preseason, so Stetson, Chattanooga, obviously BC playing in the ACC, Florida, Duke. Providence ended up making a little run in the Big East tournament. Radford was also in the mid-major top 25. Mercer ended up winning the SoCon. They ended up beating UT Chattanooga. So I think, a lot of teams that we played early were making a run for the postseason and making it to NCAA. So we've already played some postseason teams. So I think we feel like completely prepared to go out to Eugene and play in a big stadium and just kind of play Binghamton softball without worrying about everything that's going on around us.
Yeah, and if we take it, and I'm looking at the bracket right now in the studio here for the Women's College World Series, and we have College Station, which has the likes of Texas A&M as their one, and then St. Francis, Liberty, Marist are all there, and then in Gainesville we have Florida, we have Mercer, Florida Atlantic, Georgia Tech. We brought up the fact that you faced off against Florida, and then Duke as well. Duke is in the Durham bracket with Coastal Carolina, Howard, and Georgia. You're in the Eugene bracket with Oregon, Stanford, and Weber State. And then we see there's a Los Angeles bracket, there's a Clemson bracket, Austin, Columbia, Tallahassee, as well as Knoxville, Baton Rouge, Lubbock, Tucson, Tuscaloosa, Norman, and Fayetteville, but not the Fayetteville that we're thinking of in the state of New York. So there's a lot to this bracket, is what I'm getting at here. And there's these pods of 4 teams. And like I said, the group of 4 you're in Eugene, Oregon, yourself, Oregon, Stanford, and Weber State. Bring me into, for people that don't know how this bracket works in the College World Series, what happens with each of these pods and how we advance in the bracket.
Absolutely. So obviously, the top 16 seeds host the regional, so that's kind of what you were just talking about. And then it's a double elimination. So we will play, as a 3 seed, we will play Stanford, who is the 2 seed. Weber State as the 4 seed. We'll play Oregon as the 1 seed. And then it's kind of just a double elimination bracket from that. Whoever wins each regional will go to super regionals.
Yeah.
So our bracket as the 16 seed will be matched up with the 1 seed, Texas A&M. So whoever wins our regional will go play the winner of the Texas A&M regional, and it kind of goes down from there. And then at super regionals, it's a best of 3, and then the winner of all of those super regionals go on to the Women's College World Series.
Yeah. So I mean, it's incredible how many teams are really in this thing. Like I said, just kind of like talking about the first 4 groups and then looking at the rest of this, and it just seemingly goes on forever. For you to be within this and to have the likes of going out to the West Coast and playing these schools, which, I mean, it's weird now, but like we're talking about ACC and Big Ten schools, which normally we'd be talking about the Pac-12. But to be out here and to know that you're going to be on the other side of the country facing off against these squads, just what this experience already feels like for you and the team, to know that you have more life. I know you don't care where you're playing because you play where you play, and softball is softball. But to have this specific group and this specific caliber of squads, just what this does for your team, having already challenged yourself this season.
Yeah, I think, when we were watching the selection show, in my mind, we were going to be a 4 seed, a pretty good 4 seed just because of our RPI. So, we kind of thought we were going to be somewhere between like the 9 and 14 type area. And then when we got to like 14 and we weren't called yet, it's like, all right, well, we know we made it. So where are we going? So when we weren't in the 15 bracket, in my head, I was like, all right, there's only Oregon and Stanford left. So regardless of who's hosting, we're going to the West Coast. So it was a little bit different because we knew that we were going to be called in that last thing. So I feel like it wasn't as like surprising as a lot of other schools probably get during the selection show. But we we were surprised that we were going to be the 3 seed. So when they popped up Oregon with Weber State, we were like, holy crap, we're a 3 seed. That's kind of nuts. Um,
Yeah.
but looking through the bracket, we are traveling the furthest out of any team in the tournament. So about 2,800 miles from Binghamton to Eugene. So obviously the travel is going to be tough for us. We were up pretty late last night trying to figure out our flights, how we're getting out to Oregon. So we'll be leaving Wednesday morning. We'll have kind of a full day to adjust with a practice time. But kind of looking at our region, Weber State is under 500, but their preseason schedule was very challenging. They pretty much just played Power Four schools throughout the first 3 weeks of the season. They've already matched up against Oregon. They've played UCLA. So they're going to be a tough team. If we don't come out on top against Stanford, most likely we will be playing Weber State in the elimination game. Kind of looking at them, you know, all 3 teams have pretty powerful offenses. So we will be looking to kind of use all 4 of our pitchers throughout the week. But I'm excited just to kind of see what we do from an offensive perspective. We haven't seen Velo in quite a few weeks, but early on in the season when we were seeing some more elite pitching, I felt pretty good about where our offense was. So we'll be practicing in the cages the next 2 days, just getting used to that 65 plus Velo that we haven't seen in a while. But at the end of the day, like we're obviously going to go out there and compete and play our best, but we're just going to have fun with it.
Yeah, and for you, Jess, as you look at, like you said, going into this season, because you plan out the schedule so far ahead, you were trusting in your pitchers and trusting in your hitting ability. You thought this was going to be a better team, a more experienced team, and that you wanted to challenge them a little bit more. What have they shown you up to this point? Because you make the schedule ahead of time, but now we're living in the real world of this is what they've done. Bring me into pitching, defense, and offense of this softball team. Where do you feel like you're at? How would you define who the Bearcats are as you step into the NCAAs?
I think the biggest thing with this team is they've just been very consistent from start to finish. We've only lost 12 games, and kind of looking back at all of the losses, we were never like out of the game. None of them were blowouts. We were very tough. We worked throughout the entire game. So even though our Florida score was 10-2, I don't think it really reflects exactly how the game went. We had bases loaded twice. We definitely could have broken the game open. But that was also only our like 5th game of the season. So I think that result is a little bit different, 30 games forward. So our pitching's very good, but we're going to be seeing some pretty powerful offenses. So we're definitely going to be using all 4 of them. Just trying to kind of mix some things up, different velos, different spin. Obviously Bree's a lefty, everyone else is a righty. And our offense, we're just gonna try to scratch across some runs as much as we can. But I think the biggest thing that I've seen just even over the past 4 days is, our first game against Bryant and our game against UMBC, like we weren't really gaining momentum.
Yeah.
But they stayed super composed. Bree did a great job on the mound, keeping us in the game. Our outfield also played absolutely incredible this past week. I think we only had in 3 games, there was only like 4 or 5 ground balls total. So our outfield was getting a lot of play, and we went errorless for 3 games, which was really big to see, especially going into a regional where the ball's definitely going to be put in play more. Defense is going to have to step up and make some plays. So I think they feel really good about kind of what we did this last week going into what we know is like some pretty big softball games.
And I think people from the outside looking in, they're going to look at the West Coast, right? And their expectation is going to be Oregon, Stanford. They may not know as much about Binghamton out there. What should the world know when you guys are playing free from the inside out? You believe in each other. You believe in what you're capable of. This is a season that you're not done yet, but you come into this and maybe don't have the same fanfare. What can you say to that effect to someone that may not know of Binghamton when you come out to the West Coast?
I think if you were just to look, if you knew nothing about Binghamton softball and you were just looking at a stat sheet, which is kind of like what we have to do with all these teams that we're playing, this week. We have a lot of home runs. Our power numbers are pretty high and our pitching ERA is very low.
Yeah.
So I think it can be a little scary. I think they're gonna know that we're gonna play a tough game just because of those two things. Brianna Santos in our leadoff spot is, as of last week, was ranked second in the country, toughest to strike out. She's only had two strikeouts on the year. And then Elisa Allen is number three in the country with home runs per game. So I think they're going to be a little nervous and know that our offense can be powerful. So I don't think it's like we're going to show up there and they're just going to play the game. I think teams are definitely going to scout us pretty good, just because of some of our statistical numbers that they're looking at.
Well, and to keep with those statistical numbers, I want to let everybody know you had a winning record on the road, at home, and on neutral ground. 12-1 this season at home, 12-7 away from home, and 12-4 in neutral games. 36 victories, like you said, only 12 losses in all of the 48 matchups that were had. And looking at the fact that this team is on a 10-game winning streak, and your winning percentage overall this season is just shy of 90%. Winning at home is great, but you have ended this season, regular season and postseason, winning on the road and winning neutral. And when we look at that neutral, knowing that you're on neutral ground again, that 12-4 record definitely helpful as you head into the NCAA.
For sure. We've been hot as of late. So in the last 20 games, we're 19-1. And since March 28th, we've only lost three. So, I think that's kind of why you see us being a three seed.
Yeah.
The selection committee obviously uses a lot of metrics. I was on the ranking committee this year, and one of the big things that we talk about is like, what are you doing, like as of late? So a statistic we look at is last 10. So if you look at our last 10 games, we're 10-0. So I think that that's definitely something that teams are going to look at. And most of our losses are against pretty high RPI teams. We obviously had those two losses against UMBC in March and then the one against Cornell at home. But prior to that, most of our losses were teams that were RPI under 100. So those are all things that people are definitely going to look at. But, playing Stanford at Oregon is probably still a little bit of like playing a home team just because they're not traveling as far.
Yeah.
But you bet that the Binghamton fan base is going to be out in Eugene. Have gotten a lot of texts. Most of our alumni from the West Coast are making the trip. Most of our parents are coming out. Some of our alumni from the East Coast are coming out. It's just going to be a big weekend for our program. This is kind of a historic season for us. 36 wins, sweeping the all-conference awards, winning the regular season, winning the conference championship, breaking the home run record, breaking the strikeout record. So I think this is just a historical year for Binghamton softball. And like I said, I think if any opposing team this week is looking at our social media, they're definitely going to see all of that. So just really excited to go out there. Regardless of what the result is, it's been a historical season, but I think that's just what's going to keep the girls playing relaxed and just playing free.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, an incredible season, but a season that has new life, a new chapter to be written. And speaking of chapters, yours is special, this chapter that's being written for you. You're a 2014 graduate of Binghamton University, and here you are in your fourth full season as the leader of this program. And this is the historic season that we're having. What does it mean to you from your eyes as a graduate, as somebody who's been the leader of the program for now 4 full seasons? What can you say from your specific seat this moment has been like, knowing that you've gone through the same things that these young women have gone through at Binghamton?
Yeah, yesterday there was like a million things going through my head, and not just yesterday, kind of like all week. I've been a part of Binghamton softball for 15 years now, which not not to age myself, but that's kind of a long time at this point. Um, so playing from 2010 to 2014, being an alumni 15, 16, being an assistant in 17, and then becoming the head coach in 2021. So, you know, even though I wasn't here for 2 years, like I'm still a part of the program. I was still heavily involved as an alumni. Um, so I think this championship just means a lot to me. And we talk about it with the girls quite a bit as well. We work hard and we try to win a championship for everyone. So we had probably a dozen alumni in the stands all weekend, which I think just kind of speaks to the culture that we have in Binghamton softball that Michelle Johnston created, starting in her tenure in 2010. We tried to keep everyone involved, and it was just really, really cool to see from my perspective, like when we won the championship and everyone was celebrating, like it was just so cool to see everyone so happy. Obviously for us and the girls on the team, but like they kind of are taking pride in it too and feel like it's their championship as well. Especially the alumni that have graduated as of late. We wouldn't be in the position that we're in now unless, they kind of created the momentum for us and got us to this point. So I don't know if there's anyone that is more passionate about Binghamton softball than me. I didn't win a championship when I played. In the year that they did win, I wasn't involved. So I've been working towards this for a long time, but I actually think that winning it as a coach is a little bit more special just because I have so many years under my belt of hard work and trying to get there.
Yeah, and emotional, right? And very emotional
Very emotional.
to
Yes.
to have this. And kind of a final note for you, Jess, is when you look at the people that have come before, like yourself, when you look at the alumni, when you see the people in the stands that have shown up, when you see the parents that show up, when you get those messages that Binghamton alumni from the other side of the country are going to go to the game, people from the East Coast are going to go to the game, alumni in general are going, parents are going, just what that fan base, that support, and that Bearcat family has meant to you when you look up in the stands and you see that green and you know that they got your back no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. Yesterday was overwhelming in so many ways. Obviously, the initial emotion is overwhelming. And then my emotion changed within like 30 seconds to being so excited to crying. Just, I think, like not a sigh of relief, but like, holy crap, we did it. Like, we got it done. But I think it just, like I said, I always like to bring up Michelle Johnston because when she took the program over in 2010, it wasn't in a great place, and she completely transformed Binghamton softball. And she kind of, started everything. So it was not pressure, but like I hope that I made her proud. Just continuing on her tradition and also like elevating the program even more. So my goal when I took over was, within 4 or 5 years, I wanted to win a championship and compete nationally and I think, I've had a great staff around me. I've tried to surround myself with the best people possible, and I think I've done that. And I have people on my back that care just as much about Binghamton softball as I do, which I don't think always happens. In college athletics, people are constantly trying to like move on and climb the ladder and get to a higher level, but I feel really good right now that both myself and my staff, like, we're here to make Binghamton softball something bigger. We want to be the premier team in the Northeast, and it's going to take us a little bit to get there. Obviously, there's great programs. Boston University has really been one that we've been trying to chase, and I think we're getting there pretty fast. So, but it also, we don't get there without, the fan base and the family and the support that you're talking about. So, this championship was for everybody. I think the Binghamton community in general really rallied around our program this year. Like I said, an 8 a.m. game and there was hundreds of people there. I think that part was emotional for me as well. Kind of like after we won, looking up in the stands, like, wow, people are really rallying around us right now, and I think we made a lot of people happy. So just a super cool experience. I've obviously been waiting for this for a long time, but you can't really like measure what it's gonna feel like when it actually happens. So just really cool.
Well, like you said, for Coach Johnston and wanting to take what she built and turn it into something, and continue to grow it, I think that that's completely visible and seen. And I think the excitement that you have and the emotion that you have, I mean, you care. And, Jess, the first time I spoke with you, it was a heartfelt conversation. And now you're a champion and you're still the same heartfelt person. So I think it speaks to your character. It speaks to the team. It speaks to what Binghamton softball is and what Binghamton University is that this is a school that cares about people and wants to build up the people and doesn't just want to win, but wants to win with class and win with family, people that you actually want to look to your left and right and say, I love these people. So I'm happy for you, but I want to say that as happy as I am for you and as proud as I am for you and as awesome as this moment is in a time capsule, I don't want you to be done. So go out there to Eugene and go have some fun, okay?
Yeah, you got it. Absolutely.
I want to thank you for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT for audio and video, and our live internet streaming radio that comes to you on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. And of course, once we go live, we jump into the archives, and you can find us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And many thanks to the wonderful Brooklyn Pickle in Southern Pines, North Carolina. From New York to North Carolina, you'll find them on 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina, right down the road from Pinehurst Golf Course that the PGA Tour knows all too well. That New York flavor, a sandwich, all of those great sandwiches, all the ingredients, all of the wonderful things we've been spoiled with in the great state of New York are down in North Carolina as the Brooklyn Pickle ventures down the coast to Southern Pines on 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Let them know that DT sent you. And of course, many thanks to our team of partners in Central and Upstate New York, Great Lakes Honda City, where you can go Monday through Saturday for sales and service and get yourself new and used vehicles. If you want to tour what they have on the lot, go to GreatLakesHondaCity.com. You also get the phone numbers there for their sales and service at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. And I want to thank Great Lakes Honda City for over a decade of me bringing home vehicles that I have enjoyed. So many thanks to Great Lakes Honda City, our exclusive studio partner. Carvel DeWitt, the exclusive home of the DT Dolphin. It's our ode to the Lemoyne College Dolphins. You will find our DT Dolphin Sunday on site, on location, down the road from Lemoyne College on 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. Carvel DeWitt, the longest standing franchise in America with the DT Dolphin exclusive. And that is mint chocolate chip, whipped cream, and a cherry, hot fudge, green and gold sprinkles, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream. Get it 7 days a week, and on Wednesdays, buy one, get one. The Wildcat Sports Pub, where we proudly call home to our West Genesee shows of over 8 years. With the West Genesee Wildcats coaches and student athletes, as well as their families, you'll find us at the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. GG Cards and Breaks, your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. A place that helps you be a big kid, no matter what your age is. And you can celebrate it with your parents, your grandparents, your friends, your neighbors, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. GG Cards and Breaks is a place for everyone of all ages, because our kid spirit should always be vibrant and strong. GG Cards and Breaks, where you can find them Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6, Sundays from 10 to 5, and of course 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse is the location. And monthly we have trade night, where you could buy, sell, and trade sports cards, as well as Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, and Disney Lorcana. Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world. You'll find Ma and Pa's on 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, with multiple types of freeze-dried candy, as well as cotton candy, lemonade, and a plethora of flavors when it comes to kettle corn, popcorn, and premium corn like the Elvis, which is banana-covered popcorn with the peanut butter Reese's drizzle, the way that Elvis liked peanut butter and banana. All of the wonderful things that you see are made in-house at MON-FRI. The lemonade, the cotton candy, the freeze-dried candy, as well as the popcorn and kettle corn. Find it all and on 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And if you're out of town and you want to order it, and I just made your mouth water, go to Ma&Pa's Popcorn.com and you can order today. Avocolli's are home of our Liverpool athletic broadcast with student athletes, coaches, and administration every single month on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, at the corner of Wetzel Road and Route 57. And if you stand on the corner, you can see Liverpool High School within walking distance of Avocolli's, open 7 days a week. As well as Servomation, reinvigorating, re-energizing, reimagining what it is to have vending, whether it be at your high school, your grammar school, your preschool, your college, university, place of business, rest stop, airport. Servomation, the technology they have, the assortment, the variety that they have, and the quality of food. I've toured their facility in upstate New York, and you wouldn't believe the kitchen. There's restaurants that would beg to have a kitchen like this. Servomation does it differently, and I'm very happy to say that we are partnered with them. ServoMation.com. Go there for more information. Mother's Cupboard, the home of my breakfast sandwich exclusively in Central New York, 3709 James Street in Syracuse, 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. You will find the Cuse McMother, bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Cut it up and have it with some syrup. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich and dip it in the syrup, and do it today. Chick-fil-A Cicero, the first Chick-fil-A in Central New York, and owner-operator Jim Rusakowski, a brother of mine. You don't want to miss out on Chick-fil-A, and Chick-fil-A Cicero specifically is a step above, in my opinion. There's people that are proud to see you, team members that are incredible. Chick-fil-A Cicero, they do it to the nth degree. They break the mold, and you can find those team members in our series, The Light Between Us, which airs every single month. Go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and search the Light Between Us playlist. Canine Camp Dog Daycare. There's no better place to bring your dog out in East Syracuse. Daycare. Hey, we all got stuff going on, and sometimes we just have to drop our dog off so that our dog's not sitting at home in a kennel or just being at home by themselves. The daycare at Canine Camp Dog Daycare on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, across from BJ's, is the perfect place to go because of Lorraine, because of Chad, because of the care, concern, and the service to our wonderful animals. Head over there today, and of course you can call them at 315-437-7110 or go online to K-9kamp.com. Pizza Man, who we absolutely love going every single month and having our Baldwinsville Bees broadcast at Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville, New York. You don't want to miss any of those shows we do on site, on location, including Off the Rails with Al, featuring college football national champion Al Romano, who played with Tony Dorsett as a Pittsburgh Panther, and Hal's from Solve. A lot of great things we get to do at Pizza Man. Love the Bees and appreciate the support that you have for their student athletes, coaches, administration, and families. And Brian's Landing, a place that we love to go out to in Jamesville. Brian's Landing, the menu that they have is eclectic. There's nothing on that menu where you sit there and go, oh, okay, like this is what the menu is because these 5 things are alike. No, everything is different. Something for everyone. 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. The perfect place to go with a team, the perfect place to go with a friend, the perfect place to go on a date or bring mom and dad. Brian's Landing makes you feel like you're away from home on a vacation when you're just out in Jamesville by the water. Head to Brian's Landing today. And of course, many thanks to the Lemoyne College Dolphins, Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse, and the Binghamton University Bearcats for being our exclusive multimedia marketing partners. Lemoyne you will find Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time during Dolphin Time. And of course, you'll find Binghamton on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time during Bearcat Time. All of our teams are on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, find our Lemoyne playlist, our BSC Syracuse playlist, and our Binghamton playlist. You'll also find the Dolphins, the Bobcats, and the Bearcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com as well as Syracuse.bscbobcats.com and BinghamtonBearcats.com. For now, from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, I say God bless, no stress, do your best. This is Wake Up Call. I'm Dan Tortora, and remember, God loves you.